I'm here with Alexander McCurry, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Alexander, we have some revelations on the Peter Strzok testimony in much the same way that we reported on the Bruce Orr testimony that was released. The Peter Strzok testimony has also been released, and it shows some very interesting things. Most notably, it shows that the Department of Justice and the Clinton lawyers actually negotiated to strike a deal so as to prevent the FBI to access any emails from the Clinton Foundation. You're a lawyer, you understand these things. To me, it sounds very bizarre that the FBI is investigating what's happening in this whole scenario, this, meddling in the elections, these hacking of emails, whatever you want to call it, this WikiLeaks stuff. However you want to, whichever side of the fence you sit on as to how these emails got out there and why the FBI is investigating it. Nonetheless, the FBI is investigating it, but somehow Clinton lawyers negotiated to prevent them from looking at any emails from the Clinton Foundation. How does that happen?
Well, Alex, you said that it's bizarre. I think it is absolutely astonishing. Hillary Clinton, at the time this happened, was a suspect. She was a suspect in a criminal probe being investigated by the FBI. This is an agreement between her lawyers and the FBI, whereby the FBI limits itself from not looking at possible evidence. I don't see how that makes any kind of sense. And the fact that they are negotiating with Hillary Clinton in this way, what it says to me is that they had already made a decision, even at this very early stage, despite all the claims that had been made to the contrary, that there was not going to be a prosecution at the end of the day. Because how otherwise can you explain it? I can't explain it in any other way than that.
We know from this 2-year-long, Russia election meddling witch hunt and Hillary Clinton, hacking of classified emails. We know as a fact now that the Clinton Foundation was indeed a pay-to-play slush fund. I mean, they were getting donations from a variety of foreign states. Yes, Russia. For the uranium one, there was significant donations, not to mention a $500,000 donation on behalf of Bill Clinton speaking for I believe it was Alpha Bank at the time. There was the uranium one deal, but there was Qatar donations, there was Saudi donations, there was Ukraine oligarch donations. How in the hell, we know this, and we're not even the FBI, how in the hell does the FBI not take this under consideration and say, look, we have to go in and see what is happening here?
Well, of course it should. I mean, the point to understand is that the FBI was investigating whether Hillary Clinton had had broken the law by using a private server as Secretary of State to circulate, to pass classified emails with State Department information. Now, it seems the actual reason why she did that, I mean, it's a bit speculative now, but this seems to be the reason, is that she was using a private server because she was actually also conducting a Clinton Foundation material in this way. So a private business, exactly.
She was making money.
She was making money. Server. He was making money, exactly. He didn't want to use a State Department server because obviously had she done that, then the people in the State Department would have known what she was doing and that she couldn't do that. So she was using a private server to conduct her business whilst Secretary of State. Now, that, it seems to me, is an absolutely essential part of this criminal investigation. Because if you go back to the reason that Comey said that she would not be prosecuted, he said that she should not be prosecuted because she had no intention to break the law. Now, that is very dubious anyway, for many reasons. But, whether intention was even needed in this case. But this fact that there were, she was also dealing with Clinton Foundation emails, and that seemed to be why she was using a private server, goes directly to the question of intention. It appears to show that she did have intention to break the law because she was doing it in order to keep all this private material away from the State Department. So it looks as if the argument of intention, which Comey used, was not a valid one. Now, given that that is so, it is bizarre that he didn't look at the evidence. The FBI chose, by agreement with Hillary Clinton's lawyers, not to look at this evidence when it goes directly to the issue of intention. And of course, maybe that's precisely why they didn't look at it, because they knew if they did, that it would create a case of intention. I mean, that seems to me the only explanation for this very bizarre behavior.
Yeah, I think you have to be a moron not to realize that Clinton was running a pay-to-play. Have you ever heard of any other country in the entire planet where the chief diplomat, the foreign minister, in this case the Secretary of State of a country, also has a private foundation where they're accepting donations from other heads of state?
Well, I can think of plenty of countries, but those kind of countries are the sort of countries, like, Congo or Paraguay or wherever. They're not the United States, or they're not supposed to be the United States. I mean, the United States is supposed to be held up to a much higher standard. The Secretary of State of the United States is the most powerful foreign minister. I mean, you do not expect that kind of thing to be going on there. And certainly, if it was happening in any European country, there wouldn't just be a massive scandal, but I think it is inconceivable that there would not have been criminal charges brought. I mean, I think of Greece and Cyprus, two countries we both have connections to, which have had very, very significant corruption problems. Can you imagine what the reaction would be there if it was proved that the foreign minister of those two countries had been behaving in this way? I think it's inconceivable there would not have been a massive public scandal, and the police would not have taken a very different approach to the one that they did in this case. It is really bizarre that someone of such seniority, who is the subject in this kind of investigation, is able to enter into agreements with police investigators, which will determine how that investigation is conducted and what evidence those investigators will either see or not see. That seems to me unbelievable and absolutely extraordinary. And I am amazed that this revelation is not front page news throughout the United States, which one would assume would care about the sort of things that his foreign minister had done.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in charge of procurement for Amazon, and the guy that sells paper to companies, the paper guy, takes me out to lunch at the dinner and starts, handing me all kinds of, cool gifts and cars and all stuff like that, I would be fired immediately, if not, put in prison. I mean, it's
well, absolutely. I mean,
I don't know if you're breaking the law in those instances, but there's no doubt that you would be dismissed right away. In essence, that's what Hillary Clinton was doing. She was working for one entity, the U.S. government, but she was procuring, favors on behalf of other governments.
It's profoundly corrupt. Let's call it that way. Now, corruption can be illegal, and sometimes it's not. But I mean, it often is. It depends what's going on. And given that this evidence was destroyed, we won't ever know exactly what was going on. At least we won't know unless there's a proper investigation of this thing, which doesn't look very likely.
Which the FBI has already ruled out. So they're not going to go down this path.
Well, indeed, and I mean, given that the evidence is destroyed now, how will we ever know for a fact one way or the other?
In other words, all of this was negotiated by the lawyers, once again, in order to exonerate the Clintons.
Yes, I mean, it in effect means that the suspect of an investigation was in control of it. I mean, that seems to me a very bizarre situation indeed. And of course, as we know, the decision not to prosecute, or rather the announcement that there wouldn't be a prosecution, was not made by the Justice Department. It was taken by the FBI in breach of rules and regulations and protocols, and without any proper legal assessment of the case done, and despite the fact that the FBI's own counsel clearly thought right up until almost the last moment that there was a strong case.
And let's not forget that aside from the FBI negotiating with Clinton's lawyers not to delve into the Clinton Foundation emails, the FBI also provided plea deals for Huma Abedin and Susan Rice. So, I mean, I think it's we're seeing a complete spherical picture of the FBI really accommodating all of Clinton's legal wishes as they were moving forward in this investigation.
Well, they clearly were. That's exactly what they were doing. They were helping her in every way they could. Clearly, they were expecting that she would be the president of the United States in a few months. Clearly, some of them wanted her to be the president of the United States in a few months. Certainly, people in the Justice Department did. They did not want Donald Trump to be president of the United States, and they were setting up on absolutely threadbare evidence investigations, counter-espionage investigations against him and his campaign, on this crazy claim that he was colluding with the Russians. And they were doing everything they possibly could to stop this investigation of Hillary Clinton going forward.
Incredible. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much, guys. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below and click on the notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. Visit the Duran shop, pick up a t-shirt, help support the Duran. In the description box down below, you'll find links to our PayPal and Patreon pages. Please donate to the Duran. It really helps us out a lot. Don't forget, you can get copies of this video in audio format. Follow us on iTunes and SoundCloud as well. And go to theduran.com and see all the articles that Alexander is linking up to. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you once again. Until next time, take care.